Hello again, everyone. Today I wanted to do a paint with me. I've been really into abstract florals in my watercoloring, and I wanted to go ahead and do one of those on camera today. So I have this book here, the Flower Color Guide, and I'll put a link to this below at Amazon. It's a really pretty book, and it basically just has pictures of flowers and not much else. Flowers against a white background, which is kind of nice because then you don't get distracted by all of the other background when you're painting. So I have selected a photo that I want to use as inspiration for this particular painting. It is not going to look like this because it is going to be abstract, but I did want to at least have something to reference for possibly color, although I might go a little bit more abstract on the color as well. But I at least wanted to have something to reference so that I could get sort of the general shapes of my painting down. So I'm also doing this to try out this Khadi Papers cotton sketchbook. So this is 100% cotton paper. I have not used it at all yet, so this will be an experiment. Supposedly it's good for watercolor, but we'll see. I'm going to go ahead and start on the first page. I'm going to put it sideways. Well, it's supposedly square, so we should be fine with it that way. And I've selected some brushes. I have here a size 6 silver black velvet brush, which is fairly soft. It's more like a squirrel brush. This is my Escoda Reserva number 6 in a travel brush, and this is one of the few that I did not get replaced by Escoda. And part of why I'm using this is to make sure, did I make the right decision of not having them replace all of them? In my earlier tests, this one still came to a point and painted pretty well, so I'm going to see if that's still the case on that one. And then I have this Rosemary Company R5 Sable Rigger. The riggers are a little bit longer. When you get them wet, they come to a little bit of a point. So, and I kind of wanted to do some sketchy marks with this one and see how that goes. I have some water off camera here. I'm going to be using this palette, which is full of all of these Roman Szmal watercolors. I might have this off camera for part of the time, so you won't be able to see it all, but I will tell you what color I'm using when I pick it up and that sort of thing. So I'll also put a link below to the videos where I swatched all of these colors from Roman Szmal. They're really great watercolors, and they're pretty inexpensive too. So I'm going to put this somewhere where I can get to it easily for painting purposes. But like I said, it may not be all on camera for you. You might see more of my mixing area than anything else. I'm working in a smaller space than I normally do here. And off camera, I also have a little jelly jar filled with, these are all water soluble pencils of one kind or another. If I pick one up and use it, I will tell you what it is when I'm using it. I also have a jar of black pencils of varieties of types. Some of these are water soluble, some of them are not. So if I use any of those, I'll let you know what I'm using. And then I also have a little jelly jar with white pens and pencils for accent marks or anything. So if I use any of those, I'll also tell you. And I also have some fine grit sandpaper, which if I end up using it, you'll see why. It's kind of a cool trick. I'll definitely make sure I put some of that in there to show you how I use that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I am probably not going to talk all that much while I'm doing this. I'm going to start with my pointed brush, just because this is kind of an all-round brush. So let's see. So I'm probably gonna crop this so that, because the page I have here is square, so I'm probably gonna do a composition that's more like the top portion of this here. And I might just exclude that and just, or you know, 3 is a good number to have whenever you have a composition. So maybe I'll just do 3, or I might just stick with the 2. We'll see how it goes. So this is all going to be very loose form and sketchy, and it is also going to be somewhat abstract. So don't expect photorealism for this lesson. So I'm mixing some magenta with some buff titanium. I'm going to mix a little bit more buff titanium here and get it even lighter. And I'm trying to somewhat emulate the colors that I'm seeing here. And this paper is not, it's a little bit resistant to the water. So I'm not expecting it to be super super absorbent right away. So I may have to go back in. Okay, so I am now going to mix a little bit of Viridian into that mix I just made to tone it down just a little bit. I'm actually going to use all of it for now. I'll mix some more. And let's see. Again, this is going to be really loose. I will indeed mix some more with the magenta. And this one might be a little different, which is good because I do want some variation in here. It's a little thick. So I'm just putting some titanium buff directly in there. And I think I will add a little bit more titanium buff here. And I am going to add another flower here at the bottom. And now I'm going to go into my pencils. I'm going to use a green. I'm going to use this chromium green opaque. And I'm going to use this softer brush to kind of wet the page just a little bit. And if there's a little bit of bleeding, that's fine. I'm not worried about that. Adds to the character there. And so I'm gonna now I think I'm going to add a little bit of Perylene green. I'm going to go with my rigger brush. And go into the Perylene green a little bit. Okay. That was really light. Let's see, I might add a little bit more. Okay, and I'm thinking that the flowers are a little bit muted, so I'm going to find a color. Let's see, what's this? Okay, so this is Madder. Let's go ahead and try and do some kind of using the side of the pencil here. Okay. This brush seems to be working quite well. I'm going to fuzz out a little bit of those lines because this is a water-soluble pencil. This is the Albrecht Dürer Faber-Castell water-soluble pencils. And just that little bit of color variation really adds a lot, I think. Okay, so let's see, what do I want to do now? I think that I want to do a little bit of a contrasting color. So let's go into this ocean blue. I'm going to mix that a little bit with this mix I have here. And I think I'm going to mix in a little bit of indigo too to make it a little bit darker. And I'm going to add a little Payne's Gray. Or I might even add some of this Aquarius black. Yeah, that's getting really nice. So what I kind of want to do is I want to get in here a little bit more wet. And now I'm going to go with some even more contrast. I'm going to go with this Derwent Inktense pencil in ink black. So I'm kind of outlining some of these petal shapes, but still being really sketchy. And I don't want to add too much of that because you can really go overboard with that black. I'm going to fuzz that out a little bit so that we can get some contrast here. I'm going to add a little over here. Don't want to do too much, I just want it to be a hint. I'm going to go back into this mix. I'm also going to mix a little bit of flesh tint in here. Getting a little muddy, but that's okay. And then I'm going to go in here with some more of this black, kind of go up to the edge. want to put any more of that black in there. I'm going to go, so this is a Sketchbox Signature pink. Let's see, this is supposed to be water soluble. Let's see how that works. Okay, add some more water there. Those don't seem to activate as well as some of the others. I think I need to emphasize the greens a little bit more. So I'm going to use the Stabilo All. Just to kind of put some veins in the leaves here. Add some water to that. Just to get it to fuzz out. Now let's see, I'm going to go with some Aquarius green. Just straight. I really like how that's going there. And let's see, so it seems to be soaking in a little bit, but it's not crazy. I am actually going to add some stronger magenta. I'm going to add a little bit of more magenta to that. And this one's still looking a little pale. Let's add some more color here. And I'm going to add a little bit more Aquarius green. I really like that green. I'm actually making these leaves a little bit different now. Let's have that going down here. Okay, let's see. I think I'm approaching the end here. Oh, so what I did want to do, I'm going to wet this all through here. I'm also going to wet this through here and through here, 3 different spots. And then with the sandpaper, I am going to add some green gold in this pencil. So basically, I am sanding it so that it comes off the pencil and goes onto the paper. I think this might be too fine of a grit of sandpaper to really get an effective smattering of color here, because there's a lot of that on my sandpaper and not as much on the page, but it did do a pretty good job there. And now I think I'm almost done. I'm going to pick an accent color here. Maybe, let's see. Well, let's do a little bit of the blue too. I'm gonna take some of this, really wet. And do some little splatters here. Of course, getting it all over my book, but that's okay. That's what the book's for. And then I'm gonna do an orange. Let's go with, let's see. Yeah, I think that'll look nice. Some Quin Sienna. I don't think my brush is wet enough. All right. So I like that. Let's see. I feel like I want this flower to come up a little bit, so I'm gonna add a little bit more. I'm gonna go with the magenta and the flesh tint together, sort of bring it forward a little bit so that it's not so, kind of define the edge of this one a little bit more. And then I'm going to add a little bit, just a little bit of this quinacridone sienna, quinacridone burnt sienna, so that we can kind of tie things together. Put that on each of the bottom flowers here. We'll get a little bit of bleed there because it was a little bit wet still. Same with up here. Okay, I keep wanting to mess with it, so I am going to add just a little bit more of this blue down here. If you've noticed, I haven't used a lot of colors. I try to keep things sort of unified because I don't want there to be a ton of different colors in here, making everything kind of muddy. I'm just going in and trying to kind of darken my darks for more contrast and lighten my lights, although it's much harder to do that once you've kind of finished there. Okay. And until the page is dry, you can really add in things and they're gonna kind of blend better. All right, so I think that's gonna be it on that one. So there we go. All right, well, thanks for joining me. This is just a quick, sketchy, abstract rose here, or 3 roses. in this case. All right, so feel free to like and or subscribe. Please subscribe if you want to see my upcoming videos and when they come out. And have a great day. All right, hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye.